Well, the bell would go, and I'd run across full blast and rugby tackling. Is what I'd do.
Go straight for the takedown.
First 10 seconds of the fight, yeah. Well, I've got one very reliable takedown that I do. If you watch my fight with Arlovsky, did it there.
Spear.
The spear,
Yeah.
It's undefeated in training. The problem is when you do it, you nearly knock yourself out. So I don't do it that much because you just run into some full blast with your head. So I save that for rare moments. But that's the exact takedown I do. Full blast, mate. 40-yard dash straight across. Head in the middle. Full-on spear, yeah.
Tom Aspinall was saying that he thought you've gotten favorable matchups until you ran into Ankalaev, and the result kind of proved he was a bad matchup for you. I'm just curious if you think that is fair or an unfair analysis, and just your response to Tom.
Yeah, we're talking about the biggest organization in the world. I'm a guy who comes from kickboxing. I had no grappling experience, literal experience in MMA, and we're talking about the highest level of the sport. So if you were to put the worst guy in the UFC against me, I would be at a disadvantage. So that makes no sense.
Tom Aspinall drops the massive bombshell on Alex Pereira after his recent win over Magomed Ankalaev. Tom calls out Alex and declares, "I'd FQ run across the cage full blast and rugby tackle him." And Alex Pereira's response will shock you. But
in breaking down this fight, UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall was saying that he thought you've gotten favorable matchups until you ran into Ankalaev, and the result kind of proved he was a bad matchup for you. I'm just curious if you think that is fair or an unfair analysis, and just your response to Tom.
Não, a gente tá falando.
Yeah, we're talking about the biggest organization in the world. I'm a guy who comes from kickboxing. I had no grappling experience, literal experience in MMA, and we're talking about the highest level of the sport. So if you were to put the worst guy in the UFC against me, I would be at a disadvantage. So that makes no sense.
That's not all, folks. Two burning questions need answers. Can Alex Pereira actually respond to Tom Aspinall's call-out? And more importantly, can this mega fight actually happen? If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because today, we're breaking down the hottest story in the UFC right now. Let's get into it. This past Saturday at UFC 320, Alex Pereira walked into the T-Mobile Arena with one mission: reclaim his light heavyweight title. After losing to Magomed Ankalaev earlier this year, Pereira promised revenge, and in just 80 seconds, he delivered. Pereira knocked Ankalaev out cold in the first round. The Brazilian superstar made the necessary adjustments and absolutely dismantled the Russian. The arena erupted.
UFC 320 just finished, and Alex Pereira is once again the light heavyweight champion of the world, and he made it look easy. Remember coming into this one, he said, Magomed Ankalaev doesn't deserve to be here. He's a crap champion. I'm going to beat him, and he's never going to fight for the belt ever again. Well, that's probably the case, because Pereira just went out there and made it look easy. Didn't dominate the fight, because there wasn't really a fight. It only lasted 1 minute and 20 seconds. As soon as the referee said fight, he sprints over to the octagon, tries to catch Magomed kind of off guard. Magomed's ready for him. They move around a little bit. Pereira's threatening with a few shots. And then after about a minute, massive right hand catches Magomed. He stumbles. He shoots for the legs because he's dazed and he's hurt. Pereira stuffs it. He goes down in just a series of nasty 12-6 elbows, one after the other. Referee steps in, 1 minute 20. Magomed Ankalaev is on the floor still, looking dazed and confused.
But here's where it gets interesting. After the fight, Pereira revealed he had planned to call out Jon Jones right there in the octagon for a fight at the White House card. Instead, he dedicated his speech to Jones's late brother, Arthur Jones, who tragically passed away the day before at 39 years old. Pereira said, "I was going to ask for Jon Jones at the White House, but with everything that happened, it is not the right time to talk about it."
Essa é a melhor aposta.
Não, queria super luta.
No, I want a super fight.
Oh, super fight at heavyweight.
I can think of one.
Wow,
name
Derek
that would,
Lewis. It's Aspinall, man.
Bom, não sei se, pô, Casa Branca, Jon Jones.
Jon Jones.
Super luta.
Oh, at the White House.
Jon Jones. That's
okay.
a super fight.
All right, so he's...
Respect to Poatan for that classy moment, but his intentions are clear. He wants heavyweight gold. This isn't just talk either. Pereira walks around at over 230 pounds. Before UFC 320, he weighed 204.5 pounds on Friday, then jumped back to 232 pounds by Saturday. That's a 28-pound swing in less than 24 hours. Joe Rogan even discussed this on his podcast, saying Pereira has the skill set for heavyweight and that Aspinall will need fresh challengers. The writing is on the wall. Pereira wants to become the first ever 3-division UFC champion.
In breaking down this fight, UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspinall was saying that he thought you've gotten favorable matchups until you ran into Ankalaev, and the result kind of proved he was a bad matchup for you. I'm just curious if you think that is fair or an unfair analysis, and just your response to Tom.
O Tom Aspinall, campeão peso pesado, falou que acha que você teve lutas favoráveis até pegar o Ankalaev e que aí não deu certo com o Ankalaev. Você tem algum comentário?
Como? Repete.
Você teve só lutas boas para você, favorável.
Não, a gente está falando da maior organização, né? Que é o UFC. Pô, vindo do kickbox, sem experiência em luta agarrada ou experiência no MMA. E, pô, e olha o que eu fiz, né? Então, a gente tá falando do mais alto nível, né? Então, se colocar o pior do UFC para lutar comigo na minha categoria, isso seria desvantagem para mim. E então, eu não consigo entender.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about the biggest organization in the world. I'm a guy who comes from kickboxing. I had no grappling experience, literal experience in MMA, and we're talking about the highest level of the sport. So if you were to put the worst guy in the UFC against me, I would be at a disadvantage. So that makes no sense.
Enter Tom Aspinall. The current UFC heavyweight champion has been watching everything unfold, and he's got strong opinions about Pereira's rise. In a recent interview with TNT Sports, Aspinall threw serious shade at Pereira. He claimed Pereira had been given quite favorable matchups throughout his UFC career and struggles against wrestlers. Aspinall said, "I think the matchups were quite favorable to him up until Ankalaev." Just with the threats of the takedown, stylistically, Ankalaev is a bad matchup for Pereira.
Be a 3-division world champion for
Oh
the
my
first
God.
time. And it's, look, Tom Aspinall is a large obstacle.
That's a big
That's
hill
a
to climb.
giant man that is never going to make middleweight, never going to make light
Right,
heavyweight.
right.
That is a true heavyweight.
Tom Aspinall couldn't make 225
No,
He's
he's
huge.
Yeah,
because he's ripped at 255.
yeah.
So
That's
I-
a real heavyweight.
I'd like to see him fight again at 205. I got to be honest, man. I kind of like the guy that dominates a little bit, especially when it looks like that.
When it looks like that, I mean, that was revenge.
But here's the bombshell. Aspinall made it crystal clear what he'd do if they fought. He declared, "I'd fucked out, run across the cage full blast and rugby tackle him." Boom! That's a direct call-out.
Well, the bell would go, and I'd run across full blast and rugby tackle him. Is what I'd do.
Go straight for the takedown.
First 10 seconds of the fight, yeah. Well, I've got one very reliable takedown that I do. If you watch my fight with Arlovsky, did it there.
Spear.
The spear,
Yeah.
it's undefeated in training. The problem is when you do it, you nearly knock yourself out. So I don't do it that much because you just run into some full blast with your head. So I save that for rare moments. But that's the exact takedown I do. Full blast, mate. 40-yard dash straight across. Head in the middle. Full-on spear, yeah.
Aspinall knows Pereira's weakness is wrestling. In the first Ankalaev fight, the Russian attempted 12 takedowns, but failed every single one. However, Ankalaev controlled enough of the fight to win the decision. But Aspinall is different. He's a finisher. The British heavyweight has 8 UFC wins with 7 first-round stoppages. He destroyed fighters like Sergey Pavlovich, Martin Tybura, and Curtis Blades with terrifying efficiency. If Aspinall gets Pereira down, it could be game over. Now, Alex Pereira is not the type to let disrespect slide. His response to Aspinall's comments? Absolutely perfect. At the UFC 320 Media Day, Pereira fired back. "We're talking about the biggest organization in the world. I'm a guy who comes from kickboxing. I had no grappling experience, little experience in MMA. We're talking about the highest level of the sport. If you were to put the worst guy in the UFC against me, I'd be at a disadvantage, so that makes no sense."
Tom Aspinall was saying that he thought you've gotten favorable matchups until you ran into Ankalaev, and the result kind of proved he was a bad matchup for you. I'm just curious if you think that is fair or an unfair analysis, and just your response to Tom.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about the biggest organization in the world. I'm a guy who comes from kickboxing. I had no grappling experience, literal experience in MMA, and we're talking about the highest level of the sport. So if you were to put the worst guy in the UFC against me, I would be at a disadvantage. So that makes no sense.
Translation: Every UFC fighter is dangerous to him because he came from pure kickboxing. Calling his matchups favorable is ridiculous, and he's got a point.
She's used to getting first-round finishes, Randy. Gas tank might be an issue here. We'll find out tomorrow night.
Taila Santos sent a massive bombshell to Dakota Ditcheva in the 2024 PFL Championship Finals, making one thing crystal clear: she wants her rematch, and she's not taking no for an answer. Every fighter needs to know how to handle a loss, because a loss leaves you a lot more to learn than a win. Defeats give you the chance to reflect and see what you need to improve. So I'm grateful for that loss.
Eu realmente não lutei, eu não me encontrei naquela luta. E não falando dela, falando de mim mesma, porque a gente como atleta, quem é atleta vai me entender que não é todo dia que a gente treina bem. Tem dia que a gente treina mal, né? A gente sai da academia, nossa, hoje o treino não foi bom. E aquela noite foi isso, nossa, hoje eu não lutei, eu não sei o que aconteceu, hoje eu não tava pra luta hoje, né? E foi o que aconteceu. Eu não tava ali, eu realmente não lutei.
But Dakota Ditcheva? She's already fired back with a message of her own, one that echoes the same confidence that carried her to an undefeated 14-0 record and $1 million payday. I'm excited for this fight against Taila Santos. She likes to talk and, not put any respect on my name. I'll just do the same as I've done the whole tournament and clear another one in the first round.
I'm excited for this fight against Taila Santos. She likes to talk and, not put any respect on my name. I'll just do the same as I've done the whole tournament and clear another one in the first round.
In one corner stood Taila Santos, a seasoned veteran with 22 wins and a former UFC title challenger who went toe-to-toe with Valentina Shevchenko. In the other corner, Dakota Ditcheva, the 26-year-old phenom from Manchester, England, with a perfect 13-0 record but question marks about her level of competition. The MMA world was divided. Could Dakota handle a true veteran, or would Santos expose her as just another overhyped prospect? Dakota? She stayed quiet, focused, unbothered. But when the cage door closed, she let her hands do the talking. And talk they did. Dakota dominated. She stuffed Santos's takedown attempts, showcased devastating striking with front kicks, elbows, and precision punches. Then, in the second round, she unleashed a brutal left hook along the fence that folded Santos and forced the referee to stop the fight.
Now has an opportunity with these double underhooks to get Dakota Ditcheva to the ground.
Nice job by Ditcheva to turn it around on her. Twisting body lock, put Santos on the bottom.
Dakota Ditcheva, TKO victory, second round, $1 million, PFL champion. And most importantly, all the doubters silenced. But here's where it gets interesting. Santos didn't just accept the loss, she explained it. She admitted that Dakota's height was a challenge, saying it was the first time she fought someone that tall. But more importantly, she revealed something shocking. I honestly wasn't able to find my rhythm in that fight. Athletes will understand me in the sense that you don't always train well. You have bad days. Sometimes you go to the gym and you just don't train well. That's what happened that night. I couldn't find myself. I wasn't there in the fight.
Eu acho que todo atleta tem que saber lidar, né, com as derrotas, porque as derrotas elas têm muito mais para ensinar do que a vitória, né? Porque na derrota a gente para refletir, analisar o que a gente precisa melhorar.
Santos believes she didn't show up that night. She thinks the real version of herself never stepped into that cage, and that's precisely why she wants a rematch. Santos discovered that Dakota wouldn't be competing in the 2025 PFL tournament, and while she wasn't surprised, she saw an opportunity. She suggested they could meet again in a PFL superfight, possibly in December. PFL also does superfights, so maybe we can do a fight between us two again. I think it will be very interesting to do a superfight at the end of the year, December.
E aquela noite foi isso, nossa, hoje eu não lutei, eu não sei o que aconteceu, hoje eu não tava pra luta hoje, né? E foi o que aconteceu. Eu não tava ali, eu realmente não lutei.
The message was clear. The warning was sent. Taila Santos wants Dakota Ditcheva again, and this time she's promising a different outcome. So how did Dakota Ditcheva respond to Santos's rematch challenge? With the same cold, calculated confidence that's carried her through 14 straight victories. Before their first fight, when Santos was talking trash and calling her a Barbie, Dakota had this to say.
She's never won a belt, as she said. Like, she's not a complete fighter, is she? I'm not a complete fighter. She definitely isn't either, so... But whatever.
She didn't quite get the first round finish, but she got the job done in the second, and her post-fight message was even more brutal. Dakota doesn't just win fights. She proves points, she silences critics, she turns doubters into believers, one knockout at a time. Now, with Santos calling for a rematch, Dakota's stance remains unchanged. She's not running from anyone. She's not hiding. If Santos wants round 2, Dakota will be ready. But there's a catch. Dakota has bigger plans. She stepped away from the 2025 PFL tournament, likely negotiating bigger opportunities, possibly even exploring options outside of PFL. She's not just a prospect anymore. She's a proven champion, and champions dictate terms. So while Santos wants the rematch, the ball is in Dakota's court. And knowing Dakota, if they do meet again, she'll be just as confident, just as prepared, and just as dangerous as she was the first time. Let's talk about strategy. If this rematch happens, what does Taila Santos need to do differently? And can she actually beat Dakota Ditcheva? If Santos wants to win a rematch, she needs to impose her grappling. She needs to pressure Dakota early, force clinch exchanges, and take the fight to the ground. She cannot let Dakota dictate range and pick her apart on the feet.
In wrestling, that was the way we mentally broke you.
Exactly
right when you thought you got up, we take you right back down. You do all that work to get back to your feet, and now you're right back in position.
But here's the reality. Dakota has shown incredible takedown defense. She's powerful in the clinch with devastating knees, and her striking is only getting better with every fight. Santos is banking on the idea that she had an off night, that the real version of herself can beat Dakota. But what if the real version of Dakota Ditcheva is just that much better? What if it wasn't about Santos having a bad night, but about Dakota being a bad matchup? So what's next? Taila Santos is currently preparing for her opening round match in the 2025 PFL tournament against fellow Brazilian Juliana Velasquez. She's focused, she's motivated, and she's determined to prove that her loss to Dakota was a fluke. If Santos wins her tournament fights and captures another PFL title, her case for a rematch gets even stronger. She'd prove she's still elite, still dangerous, and still worthy of a super fight against the undefeated champion. Dakota Ditcheva, meanwhile, is playing the long game. She's not competing in the 2025 tournament, which suggests bigger negotiations are happening behind the scenes. Is she angling for a super fight? Is she considering a move to the UFC? Is she waiting for the right opponent and the right payday?
That in her last fight, scored a beautiful takedown and a rear naked choke in the first round. I can't think of a bigger talent in women's MMA right now.
Kom igjen! Ja, ett push. Kom igjen!
Cornelia Holm just drops the massive bombshell message aimed directly at Dakota Ditcheva. Nobody expected what would happen next. This is the story of how pre-fight confidence turned into a devastating reality check inside the cage. Dakota Ditcheva and Cornelia Holm, from trash talk to knockout. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash the notification bell because you won't want to miss what happens next.
Kom igjen! Ett push. Kom igjen! Kjæven turn! Kjæven turn! Kom igjen!
Cornelia Holm didn't hold back. In a pre-fight interview that went viral, she sent a massive bombshell message directly to Dakota Ditcheva, claiming superiority in every aspect of the game. But, I mean, for sure, I'm stronger in wrestling. Obviously, I would like to take it to the ground, and I would feel that I'm definitely stronger there. Then I have a lot of confidence in my striking as well. So, like, all around, I feel confident.
But I mean, for sure, I'm stronger in wrestling. Obviously, I would like to take it to the ground, and I would feel that I'm definitely stronger there. Then I have a lot of confidence in my striking as well. So, like, all around,
Holm's confidence was sky high. She believed she had Dakota's number, claiming dominance in wrestling, striking, and overall fight IQ. The MMA community was buzzing. Was Cornelia right, or was she walking into a trap? But Dakota Ditcheva, she wasn't losing sleep over the trash talk. Her response was calm, calculated, and carried the quiet confidence of a true finisher. When asked about all the pre-fight talk from her opponents throughout the tournament, Dakota delivered a response that would prove prophetic. Yeah, it feels good. I mean, I listened to so many people talking throughout this whole tournament. It's nice to get in the cage and showcase my skills and shut them up that way, because I'm not really bothered about proving them wrong. Do you know what I mean? I just kind of get in the cage and prove to myself that they're all just talkers.
Yeah, it feels good. I mean, I listened to so many people talking like throughout this whole tournament. It's nice to get in the cage and showcase my skills and shut them up that way, because I'm not really bothered about like proving them wrong. Do you know what I mean? I just kind of get in the cage and prove to myself that they're all just talkers.
That's the difference right there. While Holm was busy making predictions, Dakota was focused on preparation. She didn't need to respond with words. She was planning to respond with violence. And that's exactly what happened. But it didn't stop there. After Dakota's interview went public, Cornelia Holm took to Twitter and dropped another bombshell, doubling down on her claims and firing back at Dakota's confidence. The online back and forth had fans divided. Some backed Holm's wrestling credentials. Others knew Dakota's knockout power was something special. The stage was set. Two undefeated fighters, two massive egos, one cage. Only one would leave with their reputation intact. When the cage door finally shut, all the talk, all the tweets, all the predictions, none of it mattered anymore. This was about who could back it up. From the opening bell, Dakota Ditcheva took complete control. She stalked Cornelia Holm with calm, calculated aggression. Holm tried to stay light on her feet, flicking out jabs and trying to control the distance, but Dakota's timing was laser sharp.
After being dropped, good jab again from Dakota Ditcheva. Cornelia Holm, very difficult to put away.
The power strikes. And that'll do it! Dakota Ditcheva with the third round finish.
What a finish, beautiful.
Those leg kicks, absolutely brutal. Each one landed with a thud that echoed through the arena. Holm's movement slowed almost immediately. The wrestling specialist who promised to dominate on the ground couldn't even get close enough to attempt a takedown. By the end of round 1, Holm's midsection was bright red from vicious body kicks. She returned to her corner breathing heavily, already looking like she'd been through a war. Meanwhile, Dakota, completely unfazed, ice cold, focused, dangerous. The second round began with Cornelia Holm trying desperately to increase her output. She knew she was falling behind. The wrestling she promised? Nowhere to be found. The striking she was confident in, being picked apart piece by piece. But Dakota remained calm and composed, slipping punches and landing devastating counters. Then came the moment that had the entire arena on their feet, a spinning back elbow that connected flush on Holm's jaw, rocking her badly and drawing gasps from the crowd.
Good. Stay like this. Keep the control. Nice. Very good. He's working good. When you're ready, manipulate that head.
Holm backed up to the cage, exactly where Dakota wanted her. In the clinch, Dakota unleashed brutal knees and sharp hooks to the body. Each strike was punishing. Each shot was purposeful. Cornelia Holm's confidence was crumbling with every passing second. The fighter who talked so much before the fight was now just trying to survive. By the start of round 3, everyone in that arena knew what was coming. The writing was on the wall. Dakota Ditcheva smelled blood, and she wasn't going to let this go to the judges. Within the first minute, Dakota fainted low, forcing Holm to drop her hands, and then, boom! A perfectly timed overhand right landed clean on Cornelia Holm's chin. Holm staggered backward, her legs wobbling, clearly hurt. Dakota didn't hesitate. She swarmed in like a shark sensing prey. A flying knee clipped Holm's head, followed by a rapid-fire combination of punches that left Holm slumped against the cage, defenseless. The referee had seen enough. He jumped in and waved it off. TKO victory for Dakota Ditcheva. Dakota Ditcheva didn't just win this fight, she made a statement. She didn't just defeat Cornelia Holm, she dismantled her. From striking to cage control, from power to composure, Dakota showed the entire world why she's undefeated and feared throughout the division. Holm's trash talk may have brought attention to the fight, but in the end, it only fueled the fire for one of Dakota's most commanding victories yet. After the fight, the contrast couldn't have been more stark. Cornelia Holm, who had been so vocal, so confident, so certain of her superiority, was left on the canvas. The bombshell messages, the Twitter wars, the promises of wrestling dominance, all silenced by one brutal finish. Dakota Ditcheva? She didn't gloat, she didn't trash talk back, she simply nodded, hugged her team, and walked out with her undefeated record intact and her reputation elevated even higher. Because at the end of the day, Dakota doesn't need to talk, she lets her fists do the talking, and they speak volumes.
Ditcheva, a huge favorite in this one. Inaba has just raised. Let's go, ladies! Let's go! Welcome to Africa!
You know, the damage so far in this fight, it's been one-way trap.
Oh, nasty knee right the middle from Dakota. And a flurry down to the body. Here's the elbow. Back elbow. And now a left hand. And she's showing off, man.
Sumiko Inaba sent a massive bombshell message claiming she would become the new face of the PFL if she defeated Dakota. But Dakota had her own response, and what happened inside that cage shocked everyone. In a pre-fight interview, Inaba dropped this bombshell. I mean, she's the face of the PFL. If I take out the face of PFL, am I the face of PFL now? When asked to confirm, she doubled down with confidence. 100%. The interviewer hyped up the potential clash, noting that both fighters love to stand and trade. They pointed out that Ditcheva likes to make it a war, which meant this fight had all the ingredients for fireworks. The analysis suggested Dakota would need to keep her distance to win, but here's what made Inaba's challenge so significant. She wasn't just talking trash. She came into this fight with an 8-1 record, having competed for Bellator MMA where she racked up impressive wins. She had legitimate knockout power, having finished opponents with strikes, and she also had submission skills with an arm triangle choke victory on her resume.
Oh, what a knockdown! What a knockout! Sumiko Inaba is 4-0 with her third knockout win, getting it done in less than...
Inaba believed she had the experience, the power, and the hunger to dethrone Dakota. And with nothing to lose and everything to gain, she was all in on this opportunity. Now, how did Dakota respond to this challenge? Unlike some fighters who engage in back-and-forth trash talk, Ditcheva kept her composure and delivered a measured but confident response. When asked about facing Inaba, Dakota said, "I feel like one thing I will say is these girls are going to be most dangerous now because they have nothing to lose. They're coming to take everything I have. You know, I won the tournament last year."
They literally want to come in and take everything I have, and that's how I have to approach every single fight. I have to protect every single ounce of my career, my life.
Expect fireworks, and you won't be disappointed on July 19th.
She's no walkover, but I don't think she's on my level. I'm going to show that in South Africa.
Dakota then broke down her opponent's credentials. Abasayamo, she's 8-1, I think. She's no more. Like, she knows what she's doing. She was with Bellator before the PFL. So she's been around. She's experienced. And I know that she's going to come and give everything she's got.
In the PFL Europe Championship was a big moment for me for sure, but I don't know whether I sunk it in enough.
Dakota Ditcheva, European champion.
I think straight away, as soon as I won it, I knew that I wanted to do this global season next.
She feels like she's ready to prove herself at the highest level.
We're here now, on our way, but the journey's not over, and I'm ready to keep pushing on.
Nasty cup things. Big D, she's in trouble. That's the end.
My next opponent, Chelsea Hackett, she called me out last year, so I feel like, you know, she's got what she's wanted now, and it's give me that little bit of a push to really do well in this.
But then came Dakota's own bombshell response that shut down all the noise. But she's no problem for me. That statement right there shows the mentality of a champion. Dakota acknowledged her opponent's skills, respected her experience, but made it crystal clear that she was levels above. She wasn't going to engage in a war of words on Twitter or social media. She was going to let her hands do the talking inside that cage. And as we're about to see, Dakota backed up every single word. The stage was set for July 19, 2025 at PFL Champion Series 2 in Cape Town, South Africa. This wasn't just another fight on the card. This was a statement opportunity for both women. For Sumiko Inaba, this was her chance to prove she belonged at the elite level of the PFL and potentially become the new face of the promotion, just as she predicted.
And immediately Inaba blitzing forward. Front kick to the face. And a left hand from Dakota. Immediately, this thing gets wild.
I hate to disagree with Ian Parker, but I don't see this going to round number 2.
For Dakota Ditcheva, this was about defending her position as one of the most dangerous strikers in women's MMA and proving that her undefeated record wasn't a fluke. As fight night arrived, the question on everyone's mind was simple. Could Inaba back up her bold prediction, or would Dakota make her regret ever calling her out? Inaba came out aggressive, trying to pressure Dakota and impose her will, but Dakota's range management was absolutely brilliant. She immediately began using front kicks to the face, keeping Sumiko at the end of her strikes. One of those early front kicks landed flush, snapping Inaba's head back and setting the tone for what was to come. Dakota adjusted her strategy on the fly. She started throwing more kicks, more right hands, and more elbows. She refused to give Inaba any opportunity to capitalize on the injury. Throughout the entire fight, Dakota landed over 170 total strikes, an absolutely staggering output, especially considering she was fighting with a compromised hand.
Hey, down to the body. Here's the elbow. Back elbow. And now a left hand. And she's showing off, man.
And Inaba's face is starting to melt under this assault. Beautiful stuff from Ditcheva.
Another knee.